for those preparing to receive the sacrament of reconciliation for the first time and to receive the Eucharist, Holy Communion, next spring for the first time. There's a couple special extra materials you'll be doing. First of all, you'll notice in your packet that there's a letter here, and it goes through a number of things. And number one, it says the importance of not missing more than 4 Zoom sessions. Number 2, complete First Communion Catechism answer booklet. So your son or daughter, there's also a First Communion. This is theirs to keep. And this is something that especially for the child and their parents kind of to do together. It's a beautiful little kind of review of salvation history, God's work, of why he sent Jesus to open the gates of heaven. And then there's a corresponding answer question booklet. So there's a couple questions per each lesson. There's 11 lessons. Many of these are very simple answers. So, for example, question 1, I'll give a freebie. Why do you belong to God? It's right here in the first chapter. Why do I belong to God? Because he made me. All right, we belong to him, and he wants to draw us into communion with himself. So they're very simple questions. You'll fill this out, and there's a date actually in February to have this turned in, so you'll make sure to turn it in the drop-off bin by that date. Memorize, number 3 here for second graders, memorize the second grade Catholic prayers. So there's a form, I don't have it ready yet. I'll have it next Wednesday. That'll have the different prayers, front and back, a little half sheet, cardstock card with the prayers for your son or daughter to have memorized. And they'll be tested on these when they come to their first sacrament workshop in March. So there's a couple of events. First, the workshop will be down here at St. Joseph's, and that'll include your son or daughter. I'll be giving them a tour. They'll have to come with a parent. There'll be a video to watch, instructional video to watch beforehand. I'll give them a tour. We'll do some hands-on of receiving communion, and then I'll ask them, if they have their prayers memorized and kind of recite their prayers. And then they'll create their first communion banner. More details on that, how that'll work, but actually it's going to be I'll be individually meeting with each child and parent. They'll come in, I'll do the tour for them. There'll be their craft station set up to do their banner, etc. And then the next family would come in 15, 20 minutes later, and I would work with them. So we aren't going to be doing a large group thing all at once. It's going to be kind of individually. The next event would be first reconciliation, with the kind of not knowing what's going to happen in terms of distancing and COVID and such. I'm planning on having you just take your son or daughter to the sacrament of confession. Sacrament confession times here at St. Joe's on the website. I'll be adding a couple more, some more weekly ones, and then also in March and April in Lent. Season of Lent, there'll be some even more additional ones. So many opportunities for you to come bring your son or daughter to confession. You can come too. You can receive Jesus' mercy in the sacrament of confession as well. And then the last thing is just First Communion Mass. It's scheduled for May 2nd, 2021. That may change depending on just the whole COVID situation. And then the last thing, it's not listed on there, but your son or daughter who's going to be receiving reconciliation and Holy Communion, there's this packet here. Normally they would do this during class, but I'll be making videos going through these pages. They're first reconciliation, first Eucharist. And there's pages. Some of these require kind of pictures, so a picture of them here, a picture of their family. Some of them are more, and I'll be doing videos on kind of walking through how to fill these out. But this will be their keepsake, and when you come in March for your hands-on kind of the workshop, you can bring this, whatever's completed, and Kathy will bind it. All right, we more or less have the whole thing done by that point. She'll bind it and laminate the front. We'll put so it's be a good keepsake. So stay alert for the videos on that, and that's why the second grader, those making their first reconciliation, first communion, will have their names on this as well, because it's another. So that's those are the additional things for those preparing for first communion and first reconciliation. But there's this the booklet. There'll be the prayers to memorize. There'll be the workshop, as well as the keepsake, you could say, as well. So that's their additional materials. If you have any questions, just contact me.